People talk a lot about being desired, being wanted, being chosen, but they rarely stop to ask themselves what it means to become someone's deepest desire. And that's not a trivial question, because when you become that, when you occupy the center of another person's emotional universe, everything changes for both of you. Now, the real question is, why would you want that? Why would you want to be someone's deepest desire? The mature answer is you wouldn't want that unless you're willing to shoulder the responsibility that comes with it. Because when you are truly loved or admired, when someone projects their highest ideal onto you, that's not an opportunity to exploit. It's a summons to become worthy of it. So don't seek to be desired merely for pleasure or admiration or validation. Seek to be desired because you embody truth, strength, and goodness. Because then, when you become their deepest desire, not by manipulation, but by genuine character, everything changes, and it changes for the better. When someone truly desires you, it changes the entire structure of how they perceive the world. Desire is not merely a fleeting emotional spark or a biological impulse. It is an act of attention. And attention is what gives rise to meaning. When you become the object of someone's deepest desire, their attention organizes itself around you. Their time, their thoughts, their emotions begin to orbit your presence. You stop being just another person in their environment and start becoming a central figure in their hierarchy of value. What you say matters, what you do resonates, and even your silence carries weight. That's a profound transformation because human beings live inside hierarchies of importance. We can't help but prioritize what we believe to be valuable. So when someone desires you deeply, they're saying, often without words, that you matter most. Their psyche reorganizes itself in response to that belief. You become part of the lens through which they interpret meaning. The way you look at them might change their day, your approval might lift them out of despair, and your indifference might break their sense of self-worth. It's not melodramatic. It's psychological reality. We are creatures built to seek connection and to define our lives through what we love and what we aim at. This is why being desired at that level is both intoxicating and dangerous. It feels like power because it is power, but it's also a test of character. When someone's sense of significance begins to depend on you, your choices are no longer your own alone. You hold part of their emotional world in your hands. Every action becomes a potential act of creation or destruction. And that's not something to take lightly. Desire of that intensity can transform both people, but it demands awareness. If you are careless with it, if you exploit it or ignore it, it can unravel the very meaning it created. But if you approach it with gratitude and responsibility, it can become a foundation for something extraordinary, something that transcends mere attraction and enters the realm of shared purpose. To be desired deeply, then, is not simply to be wanted. It's to be placed at the center of another person's map of meaning. And that is nothing short of sacred. Being the object of someone's deepest desire is not just flattering. It's an immense responsibility. Most people long to be desired, to be seen as special or irreplaceable. But very few understand the weight that comes with it. When someone desires you deeply, they hand over a portion of their emotional stability, their sense of safety, even their identity. You become a figure around which their feelings revolve. That's not just romantic, it's moral, psychological, and spiritual territory. You now possess the capacity to either elevate them to their highest potential or crush them under the weight of neglect, indifference, or betrayal. Human beings are not built to be worshipped. We're not gods. We're fragile creatures filled with contradictions, flaws, and limitations. Yet, when someone's desire turns you into the center of their world, it's easy to start believing in your own myth. You can begin to mistake admiration for authority or love for control. That's the danger of desire untempered by humility. It inflates the ego, and once that happens, power starts to corrupt. What began as intimacy can turn into domination, manipulation, or cruelty, because the one who is desired forgets that they're dealing with another soul, not a servant of their self-image. So, responsibility becomes the antidote to that corruption. If someone has entrusted you with that kind of emotional power, you owe them respect. That doesn't mean you owe them ownership of your life or your choices, but you do owe them honesty, compassion, and awareness of your influence. Your words can become medicine or poison depending on how you use them. Your attention can heal wounds or deepen them. Every gesture, every silence, every withdrawal carries significance when you are the object of someone's longing. This is why maturity is essential. Only a person who has confronted their own weaknesses and desires can hold the power of being desired without becoming tyrannical. It requires self-awareness, empathy, and discipline to manage that weight properly. To be desired deeply, then, is not a game or a prize, it's a moral test. It asks, will you exploit the vulnerability that love gives you, or will you protect it? Will you respond to devotion with arrogance or with care? How you answer those questions determines whether desire becomes destruction or transformation. True desire is never static, it is alive, dynamic, and full of potential. When someone sees something extraordinary in you, something perhaps you don't even see in yourself, it is not simply an expression of affection, it is an invitation to grow. Their love becomes a mirror, reflecting back the best version of you that could exist. That reflection can be uncomfortable because it exposes the distance between who you are and who you might become. Yet, the tension is precisely what drives transformation. When someone desires you deeply for what you could be, not just for what you are being summoned to rise, to step into the ideal that love has revealed. This is why true desire should never lead to complacency. When you're admired, it's easy to rest in the warmth of being wanted, to believe that you've arrived. But love that doesn't challenge you eventually fades. The energy that sustains deep relationships comes from growth, from mutual striving towards something higher. To be loved well is to be held accountable by another person's faith in you. It's as if they are saying, I see more in you than you allow yourself to see. And that statement, if taken seriously, should ignite a moral and psychological obligation to live up to that vision. Transformation born of love is not about changing to please someone else. It's about realizing the potential that their love awakens. It's about becoming more truthful, more courageous, more integrated, qualities that make you not just more lovable, but more fully human. Their desire acts as a catalyst, not a cage. It doesn't demand conformity, it demands authenticity. It asks you to bridge the gap between your current reality and your highest possibility. However, this process also requires humility. You have to be willing to admit that you are unfinished, that the person who might see something your own self-doubt conceals. That humility transforms desire from something possessive into something redemptive. In the best relationships, each person's faith in the other becomes the ground on which both evolve. When that happens, love ceases to be a mere emotion. It becomes a shared path toward transformation. And that's when desire fulfills its highest purpose and not to consume, but to create, not to imprison, but to awaken. At its highest form, desire is not about control, conquest, or the hunger to possess. It's about mutual elevation. Two people recognizing something sacred to the other and deciding, consciously or not, to rise together. Most relationships fail because they remain trapped in the lower forms of desire, the pursuit of pleasure, the need for validation, or the fear of loneliness. These motives burn hot and fast, but they do not endure. The kind of desire that truly changes everything is different. It doesn't just ignite passion, it sustains growth. It asks both people to become better, to aim upward rather than inward. When desire reaches that level, it becomes a partnership between two souls striving toward their highest potential. Each person becomes a mirror that reflects not only beauty, but also truth. You begin to see in the other what you could be if you lived with courage, integrity, and purpose. This kind of desire humbles you because it reminds you that love is not about possession. It's about participation in something greater than yourself. It's not, I want you to make me happy, but I want to build something meaningful with you. That shift transforms the entire nature of the bond. Mutual elevation means that both people become guardians of each other's growth. They challenge each other, not to dominate, but to call forth the best within. They hold each other accountable to their potential, their values, and their truth. It's not an easy form of love. It demands honesty, vulnerability, and immense discipline. You have to confront your own flaws, your own capacity for selfishness, and still choose to stay open. But in that difficulty lies its beauty. The relationship becomes not a comfort zone, but a crucible, a place where both souls are refined. When desire transforms into mutual elevation, it becomes a creative force rather than a consuming one. It doesn't drain energy, it generates it. It doesn't destroy individuality, it strengthens it. Two people aligned in this way don't just love each other, they elevate one another toward the good, the true, and the beautiful. That's the highest form of desire, the one that redeems rather than corrupts. It's where passion meets purpose, where intimacy becomes transformation, and where love becomes a shared ascent rather than a private escape.